Ever get that feeling? Like you just walk through a cloud of bad vibes.
Mhm.
Maybe it's after talking to a certain someone or being in a specific place, and you just feel drained.
Ugh, yeah.
Today we're going deep on how to deal with that, taking cues from a book called Bearing Defense. Exploit the weakness in their witchcraft.
Okay.
Now hold on.
Interesting.
Before you think we're about to like brew up some potions or something,
Right.
this book isn't your typical witchcraft manual.
Right. It's less about like pointy hats and more about how those old fears of negative energy, what they used to call witchcraft, are still playing out in our lives today.
Mm.
We might not use the word witchcraft, but
Mm.
that feeling of being targeted or drained by unseen forces, that's
Oh.
something a lot of people can relate to.
Exactly. This book flips the script on that feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It says,
Mhm.
like, we're not just victims of bad energy. We can actually build up defenses against it.
Okay.
So no more feeling helpless.
And the cool thing is, the book presents this in a way that works, whether you're like super into the spiritual side of things
Right.
or not.
Okay. So let's get into the practical stuff.
Good.
What are some of the basic tools this book gives us for building up those defenses?
Well, one of the first things it talks about is this idea of spiritual boundaries. Think of it like setting limits, just like you would in any relationship.
Right.
It's about understanding that you don't have to absorb everyone else's energy.
So if you're around someone
Yeah.
and you start feeling that energy drain, that's like a sign your boundaries need work.
Yeah.
I can see that happening.
Yeah.
It's like when you're with someone who just complains constantly
Yeah.
and you leave feeling like exhausted.
That's a great example. The book even goes into how to like actually set those boundaries. It's not just about avoiding certain people, although sometimes that's necessary,
Sure.
but also about visualizing a protective shield around yourself.
Okay.
Like picturing a bubble of light that deflects any negativity coming your way.
Okay, visualization. I'll admit that's always felt a little out there for me. Is it really more than just positive thinking?
That's a good question. The book explains that visualization is actually like a powerful mental technique. It's backed up by science.
Right.
Athletes use it to improve performance. Therapists use it to help people overcome anxieties. It's about training your mind to create a different reality.
Interesting. So it's less about magic and more about intentionally using your mind to influence your experience.
Exactly. And when it comes to spiritual protection, visualizing a shield of light can actually help you feel more grounded and secure, even in challenging situations.
All right. Let's talk about grounding, because I've heard that word thrown around a lot.
Right.
But I'm not always sure what people actually mean by it.
Yeah.
What does this book say about grounding?
It talks about how important it is to be connected to the Earth's energy. And that doesn't have to be some, big ceremony. It can be as simple as walking barefoot on the grass, gardening,
Right.
or even just holding a stone that you find grounding.
So it's like literally connecting with the physical earth to help you feel more centered.
Exactly. And it goes deeper than that. The book explains that grounding actually has a calming effect on your nervous system.
Okay.
When you're feeling anxious or overwhelmed, that's often because your energy is like scattered. Grounding helps bring it back down, reconnecting you to a sense of stability and peace.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I'm definitely someone who benefits from spending time in nature, so maybe that's part of the reason why, like a natural reset button. What other tools does this book offer for building up our spiritual defenses?
Well, it dives into the power of affirmations. You may have heard about them before, but the book goes beyond just thinking positive thoughts.
Okay.
It talks about how words themselves carry a certain vibration, and by speaking positive affirmations out loud, you're literally creating a shield of protective energy around yourself.
So it's not just about thinking it, it's about saying it out loud, like no negativity can touch me kind of thing. I'm not sure I'm ready to walk around chanting just yet.
It might feel a little strange at first, but think about it this way. We already use words to influence our reality all the time.
Right.
What you say to yourself and how you say it can impact your mood, your confidence, even your physical health. Affirmations are simply a more intentional way of using the power of language to shape your experience.
So you're saying that by consciously choosing the words we speak, we can actually change our energy field.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty powerful idea.
And the book gives specific examples of affirmations that you can use for protection and empowerment, depending on what you're dealing with. It also suggests writing them down and placing them in your environment, almost like creating visual reminders of the energy you want to cultivate.
Okay, I'm starting to see how these tools, even though they might sound a little woo-woo at first, can be really practical.
Yeah.
It's about taking control of your energy instead of feeling like you're at the mercy of whatever's out there. But what about those times when we feel like we're facing some, like, really intense negativity?
Mm-hmm.
Does the book address that?
Absolutely. It delves into some more advanced techniques that we can explore in part two.
Sounds intriguing. I'm definitely ready to level up my spiritual defense game.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, there's one thing I'm curious about. This whole idea of symbols and talismans, are those just for people who are really into the mystical side of things?
Yeah.
Or can anyone benefit from them?
That's a great question. And it's something that the book addresses directly. It explains that using symbols for protection is something that's been done across cultures for centuries.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be complicated. It could be something as simple as wearing a piece of jewelry that holds like a special meaning for you.
So it's like those symbols act as a visual reminder
Yeah,
of your intention for protection.
exactly. And even skeptics often have lucky charms or symbols that make them feel safe.
Right.
It's tapping into that universal desire for protection.
I guess that's true. Like I have this necklace that my grandmother gave me, and I always wear it when I need a little extra courage. It might not be a magical talisman in the, traditional sense, but it definitely makes me feel more grounded and secure.
That's a perfect example of how these practices, even if they seem rooted in ancient traditions, have modern day parallels that we might not even realize.
It's like we're all looking for ways to feel safe and empowered in the world. And these tools, whether we call them talismans or something else, can help us connect to that feeling. But before we get too carried away with symbols and talismans, I think we should take a break and come back to the deeper techniques in part two.
That sounds of a plan. We'll dive into the more advanced practices for enhancing your spiritual defenses and explore how to create a truly resilient and empowered energy field.
All right, we're back and ready to level up.
Yeah.
In part one, we talked about some of the foundational tools for building spiritual defenses, like setting boundaries and using affirmations.
Right.
Now, daring defense takes it a step further with some more advanced techniques. I'm ready to hear what else we can add to our, spiritual toolkit.
Well, one practice that really resonated with me is this idea of visualization combined with movement.
Okay.
Think about practices like Qigong or Tai Chi. They're not just about like physical flexibility,
Right.
but also about intentionally moving energy through the body.
So instead of just picturing a protective shield, like while sitting still,
Yeah.
you're actually moving your body in a way that kind of reinforces that intention.
Exactly. It's like taking that visualization and making it dynamic. As you move, you can imagine energy flowing through you, pushing away any negativity and strengthening your aura. The book gives specific examples of movements you can try, even if you've never done Qigong or anything like that before.
Okay, I'm intrigued. I'm like a pretty active person, so the idea of incorporating protection into my workouts actually appeals to me. But what about those of us who find peace in stillness? Are there other techniques that kind of tap into that energy?
Absolutely. The book talks a lot about the protective power of nature itself. It says that spending time in natural settings isn't just about relaxation, it's actually a form of like energetic cleansing.
I've always felt more grounded and at ease after like a hike in the woods or even just sitting by a lake. There's something about being in nature that just feels restorative.
There's a reason for that. The book explains that the Earth has its own powerful energy field,
Right.
and it can absorb and neutralize negative vibrations. So when you immerse yourself in nature, you're allowing your own energy to come back into balance.
So it's like the earth is giving us a spiritual tune-up.
Yeah, I like that. Does the book talk about how to make the most of that connection to nature? Like, are there specific things we can do to enhance that cleansing process?
Yes, it dives into the unique properties of each of the four elements,
Mm-hmm.
earth, water, air, and fire, and how we can work with them intentionally for spiritual protection. For example, it mentions that sitting by a fire can be a powerful ritual for burning away negativity. The flames symbolize transformation and purification. I've always loved, bonfires. There's something so mesmerizing about watching the flames. And now knowing that it can also be a way to clear out negative energy makes it even more appealing. What are the other elements? What kind of practices does the book suggest for those?
Well, with water, it talks about the cleansing power of a ritual bath or even just a mindful shower. Visualize the water washing away any negativity or stress you're carrying. As for air, it emphasizes the importance of fresh air and conscious breathing. Deep, intentional breaths can help clear the mind and revitalize your energy.
So even something as simple as like taking a walk and paying attention to your breath can be a powerful tool for spiritual protection. That's good to know.
Exactly. And then with earth, it reinforces the grounding techniques we talked about earlier, like walking barefoot or gardening. It also suggests creating a sacred space in your home or workspace, a place where you can go to recharge and reconnect with your spiritual center.
Oh, I love that. My apartment isn't huge, but I've always tried to create a little corner that feels peaceful and inspiring. I have some plants, crystals, and a few meaningful objects that bring me joy. It sounds like I'm already on the right track.
That's wonderful. The book emphasizes that your sacred space should be a reflection of what feels personally meaningful to you. It could include symbols, colors, scents, anything that elevates the energy and makes you feel safe and supported.
I'm definitely feeling inspired to give my space a little um, spiritual makeover now.
Yeah.
But what about those times when we need a boost beyond what our personal space can provide?
Yeah.
Like, what if we're dealing with negativity that feels like really intense or overwhelming?
That's a great question. And this is where the book delves into the power of rituals and ceremonies.
I'll be honest, rituals have always felt a little intimidating to me. Like, do you need like special robes and incantations and things?
Not at all. The book emphasizes that rituals can be as simple or as elaborate as you feel comfortable with. It's about intentionally setting aside time and space to connect with a higher power or source of support, whatever that means for you.
So it's more about the intention behind it than the like specific actions themselves.
Exactly. It could be as simple as lighting a candle and speaking a prayer or affirmation. Or it could involve using elements like water or essential oils to create a more immersive experience.
So it's like you're creating a sacred atmosphere to amplify your intentions and connect with like something greater than yourself.
Precisely. And the book gives several examples of rituals for protection, cleansing, and empowerment, drawing from various traditions. You can choose what resonates with you and adapt it to your own beliefs and practices.
This is starting to feel less intimidating and more like something I could actually, incorporate into my life.
Yeah.
What else does the book recommend for navigating those times when we need extra support?
It talks about the importance of seeking guidance from a spiritual mentor or teacher, someone who can offer personalized support and help you navigate the more challenging aspects of your spiritual journey.
I can see how having like someone experienced to guide you could be incredibly valuable, especially when dealing with intense negativity. But what if we're not sure where to find a mentor like that?
The book offers suggestions for finding teachers and communities that align with your values and beliefs. It also emphasizes the importance of trusting your intuition when choosing someone to work with.
That's really important. It's like finding any other type of professional. You want to make sure you feel comfortable and confident in their guidance.
Absolutely. And remember, this path of spiritual protection is a journey, not a destination. It's about continually learning, adapting, and refining your practices as you grow and evolve.
It sounds like this Daring Defense book is packed with like practical wisdom. I'm eager to hear what other insights it offers.
Well, there's one more concept that I think is crucial for truly fortifying your spiritual defenses. And we'll dive into that in part 3.
All right, I'm hooked. Let's take a quick break and come back for the final part of this deep dive. Okay, so we're back for the final part of this deep dive into Daring Defense.
Yeah.
We've covered like a lot of ground,
Mm-hmm.
from setting boundaries to harnessing the power of nature. We've explored a whole arsenal of techniques for building up our spiritual defenses.
Right.
But you mentioned there was one more key concept we need to unpack.
Right. You see, true spiritual protection isn't just about creating those external barriers. It's also about addressing the vulnerabilities within ourselves
Okay.
that can make us susceptible to negativity.
Right.
And that's where the concept of shadow work comes in.
Shadow work. Okay, that sounds a little intimidating.
Right.
What exactly does that involve?
It's about facing those parts of ourselves that we tend to hide or deny,
Right.
Our fears, our insecurities, the negative thoughts and emotions that we kind of try to keep buried. Mm-hmm.
The book explains that these shadow aspects, if left unaddressed, can actually weaken our energetic field
Okay.
and make us more vulnerable to outside influences.
So it's like those unacknowledged parts of ourselves can become like entry points for negativity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the good news is, by consciously acknowledging and integrating those shadow aspects, we can actually transform them into sources of strength.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this ties into spiritual protection.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do shadow work? It sounds like it could get pretty intense.
The book offers several approaches. Journaling is a great way to start exploring those hidden thoughts and feelings.
Right.
Meditation can also help you observe those shadow aspects without judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And therapy can be incredibly valuable for working through deeper traumas or patterns that are kind of holding you back.
So it's about like bringing those shadow aspects into the light of awareness
Yeah,
and integrating them into our wholeness rather than trying to pretend they don't exist.
exactly. It's not always easy or comfortable.
Right. But the book emphasizes that it's a crucial step in creating a truly resilient and empowered energy field.
Yeah, I can see how that would be true. It's like if we're constantly trying to fight off parts of ourselves, it's going to drain our energy
Mhm.
and make us more susceptible to outside negativity.
Precisely. And the book also suggests that working with a spiritual mentor or therapist can be incredibly helpful in navigating this process.
Yeah, I can definitely, I could see how that would be helpful. It sounds like having someone to like guide and support you through that shadow work could make a big difference. But before we wrap up, I wanted to touch on something that really stood out to me throughout this entire deep dive.
Okay.
Importance of community.
Absolutely. The book repeatedly emphasizes that we're not meant to do this alone. Sharing our experiences, both the challenges and the triumphs, can be incredibly empowering and validating.
I've definitely felt that in my own life.
Yeah.
Sometimes just talking to a trusted friend about something I'm struggling with can help me like see it in a new light and feel less alone.
Exactly. And when it comes to spiritual protection, connecting with like-minded individuals can create a powerful sense of collective energy. It's like everyone's individual light amplifies the others, creating a stronger shield of protection for the whole group.
This book has really given us a lot to think about.
Yeah.
It's made me realize that spiritual protection is an ongoing journey, not a one-time fix.
Right. And it's a journey that's unique to each individual. What resonates with one person might not work for another. The key is to find what feels authentic and empowering for you.
So what's the best way for our listener to get started on their own journey of spiritual protection?
Well, I'd encourage them to revisit the techniques we've discussed and see what sparks their interest.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's trying out a visualization exercise, spending more time in nature, or experimenting with affirmations. Start small and see what feels right.
And don't be afraid to reach out for support. Whether it's a trusted friend, a spiritual mentor, or the therapist, having someone to guide you can make a big difference.
Exactly. And remember, you already have everything you need within you to create a safe and empowered spiritual experience. This book simply provides tools and insights to help you access that innate power.
This has been a really enlightening deep dive. I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of what it means to protect and empower my energy. And I hope our listeners feel the same way.
Me too. May this deep dive inspire you to embark on your own journey of spiritual discovery and create a life filled with light, resilience, and joy.